Stop right there. Before you scroll away, let me ask you something that will change how you see the world forever. Do you think being good automatically keeps you safe? Do you believe that pure kindness is a shield? That open-handed generosity automatically builds unbreakable loyalty? That unwavering honesty inherently earns genuine respect? If you answered yes to any of these, you're about to discover the most insidious lie society has ever whispered to you. The biggest mistake we make is equating goodness with safety. But here's the brutal, unvarnished truth: goodness, when wielded blindly, is like a wildfire. It doesn't just protect, it can consume everything you've painstakingly built: your relationships, your career, your dreams, your very sense of self. Niccolò Machiavelli. Yes, that Machiavelli. He saw this stark reality centuries ago. He observed good leaders falter, kind rulers fall, and generous souls betrayed by the very people they uplifted. He documented it all, not to advocate for malice, but to understand the mechanics of power and survival. Today, I'm going to unveil his hidden truths, the shocking, often ignored cost of unchecked goodness. In the next few minutes, you'll learn precisely why your inherent goodness might actually be making you weaker. You'll understand why people don't always respect your kindness, they often exploit it. And most importantly, you'll discover how to transform this perceived weakness into your most formidable weapon. Now, let me be crystal clear. I'm not advocating for you to become cruel, unethical, or evil. I'm not asking you to inflict harm. What I'm offering is a framework for strategic goodness. It's about being good with intention, with foresight, not with naive abandon. Because in a world that can often feel like a jungle, being a gentle lamb inevitably leads to being prey. So, if you're ready to evolve your understanding, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose strategic goodness. From this moment forward, everything can change. You will no longer wield your virtues blindly, you will deploy them strategically. Let's dive into the first, undeniable truth. Number 1, goodness as exposure, the open door. Think about the kindest, most generous person you know. Now, honestly consider, are they truly and deeply respected, or are they the perpetual go-to person for every single problem, every favor, every crisis? The stark reality is that unwavering goodness often makes you vulnerable, not secure. When you're consistently kind, people begin to see you as predictable. They know you're unlikely to refuse. They know you struggle to say no. They know they can push your boundaries because you're too nice to retaliate or even defend yourself effectively. You become the office doormat, the friend who always picks up the tab, the family member who always steps in to help, even when it drains you dry. Let me tell you about a brilliant team manager I once knew. He consistently went the extra mile for his team, covered for their mistakes, and always prioritized their needs above his own. And what was his reward? Someone else was promoted over him. Why? Because people don't typically see constant niceness as leadership material, they see it as servitude. People don't inherently respect your goodness, they exploit it. Consider this: when someone is always readily available, their help starts to feel commonplace, even expected. When you never establish firm boundaries, people will inevitably cross them. When you never show your teeth, they assume you don't possess any. Your goodness becomes your vulnerability because it signals to the world, I am open for business. Take what you need. Machiavelli wisely stated, the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. You've been trying to navigate a world of cunning foxes and powerful wolves while embodying the traits of a sheep. That's precisely why you keep getting hurt. Drop this affirmation in the comments, I protect my energy. Number 2, the generosity trap, the illusion of abundance. Here's a truth that might jolt you: the more you give to people, the less they often appreciate it. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? But bear with me. Generosity initially earns you applause. People clap, they praise you, they tell everyone how wonderful you are. It feels fantastic. But over time, a peculiar and often destructive shift occurs. Your consistent generosity can breed dependency, entitlement, and eventually, deep resentment. Let me illustrate. You help someone once, and they are genuinely grateful. You help them a second time, and they're thankful. But when you help them for the 10th time, it ceases to be an exceptional act and becomes an expectation. Your extraordinary kindness becomes their mundane normal. And if you ever have to say no, they won't recall the 9 times you said yes. They'll only remember the one instance of refusal, and suddenly, you become the selfish one, the villain in their narrative. Think of parents who constantly indulge their children. Initially, those gifts are met with excitement. But soon, they're simply expected. That new gadget isn't special, it's just what mom and dad do. And if a parent denies a request, the child might react with anger, deeming them unfair. This plays out identically in friendships. You always cover the bill at dinner. You always offer rides. You always help people move apartments. At first, it's appreciated. But eventually, the thank yous dwindle. They simply assume you'll handle it. Then, the moment you need a favor in return, they're suddenly too busy. This is the generosity trap. You give and give until giving is your identity. And the instant you need to receive, or simply stop giving, you transform into the antagonist in everyone else's story. Your perpetual generosity doesn't forge loyalty, it cultivates addiction. People become hooked on your giving, and like any addiction, they react with anger when the supply is cut off. The psychological principle at play here is hedonic adaptation. We rapidly acclimate to positive experiences. What once felt special becomes ordinary. What was once generous becomes expected. So, your repeated acts of kindness gradually lose their impact. They become invisible. People stop noticing them because they're so commonplace. But your single act of refusal, that stands out like a neon sign. That's what they remember. That's what they focus on. That's what they'll complain about. This phenomenon is universal. At work, if you consistently stay late, staying late becomes your norm. Nobody celebrates it anymore. But leave on time once, and suddenly you're not committed. In relationships, if you always compromise, compromise becomes the expected baseline. But stand your ground once, and you're labeled as difficult. Machiavelli understood this deeply when he said, benefits ought to be conferred gradually, and in that way they will taste better. He grasped a fundamental truth: scarcity creates value. Abundance often destroys it. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I give strategically. Number 3, the mask of virtue, perception is reality. Here's a truth that might make you deeply uncomfortable: society often values appearances over substance. People don't necessarily care if you are truly good, they care if you appear good. They don't scrutinize your heart, they judge your public image. This means that to truly command respect and maintain influence, you must master the mask of virtue, presenting goodness outwardly while retaining shrewd control beneath the surface. Look at the most successful individuals you admire. Do you honestly believe they achieved their status by being saccharinely nice to everyone, all the time? No. They succeeded by being astute about when, how, and to whom they displayed their goodness. They smile in public and make tough, even unpopular, decisions in private. They show mercy when it serves a strategic purpose and demonstrate unwavering strength when it's absolutely necessary. They understand that the perception of virtue can often be far more potent than virtue itself. This isn't about being fake. It's about being strategic. Think of it like this: a surgeon must sometimes inflict pain, cut into a patient, to save their life. Is the surgeon cruel? No. They are performing a necessary action, even if it causes temporary discomfort. True leaders understand that sometimes, being truly good means appearing temporarily bad. Sometimes, helping someone genuinely involves saying no to them. Sometimes, protecting your team necessitates making decisions that won't be popular. The mask of virtue isn't about deception, it's about timing and context. It's about knowing precisely when to reveal your softer side and when to display your unyielding steel. Most people get this fundamentally wrong. They expose their vulnerabilities to adversaries and their strength only to those closest to them. Smart individuals do the opposite. Machiavelli famously noted, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." He understood that perception profoundly shapes reality. If people perceive you as weak, you become weak in their eyes. If they perceive you as strong, that perception becomes your power. Call to action visual, text overlay with the affirmation. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my image. Number 4, the economics of power, your finite resources. Every action you take carries a cost. Every favor granted, every time you say yes when your gut screams no, every moment you invest in others at the expense of your own growth, these all have a price tag. Most genuinely good people never truly consider this calculus. They give and give until they have absolutely nothing left, then express bewilderment when they feel exhausted, resentful, and utterly depleted. You must understand this fundamental truth: your time, energy, and resources are finite. When you allocate them to others, you inherently have less available for yourself. This isn't selfishness to acknowledge, it's basic mathematics. Unlimited kindness without discernment drains your strength. And when you are drained, you are incapable of helping anyone effectively, least of all yourself. Think about the crucial safety instructions on an airplane. Put your own oxygen mask on first, then assist others. Why? Because if you pass out trying to help someone else first, you create a situation where two people need rescuing, not one. Life operates on the same principle. If you exhaust yourself helping others, you eventually become someone who needs help. You transform from an asset into a liability. Savvy individuals recognize that to survive and, more importantly, to thrive, their resources and energy must be guarded fiercely. This doesn't make you callous, it makes you sustainable. I learned this lesson the hardest way possible. For years, I said yes to everyone. Every request, every favor, every seemingly quick question that spiraled into hours of my time. I convinced myself I was being good. But the result? I began to resent people. I felt a simmering anger and bitterness. My own projects languished, my personal goals were perpetually deferred. Ironically, I became less capable of assisting those who truly needed my help. That's when the profound realization struck: saying yes to everyone is inherently saying no to yourself. And when you abandon yourself, you eventually abandon everyone else too. The most impactful, generous people in history weren't those who said yes to everything, they were those who said no to most things so they could say a resounding yes to the truly important things. Machiavelli advised, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." You cannot command others if you cannot command your own time, energy, and resources. You cannot lead others if you cannot lead yourself. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I protect my resources. Number 5, strategic virtue, the art of effective goodness. I am not telling you to become heartless. I'm not suggesting that mercy, honesty, and generosity should be discarded. What I am proposing is that these virtues must be wielded like precision tools or potent weapons, deployed strategically, at the right moment, for maximum effect. A sword resting idly on a shelf offers no protection. But a sword in the hands of a skilled warrior, employed at the critical juncture, can save a kingdom. Your goodness should operate with the same purposeful power. When you help someone, let it be intentional. When you show mercy, let it be strategic. When you are generous, ensure it cultivates the specific outcome you desire. Consider this: instead of offering a sliver of help to everyone, help the right people profoundly. Instead of being vaguely pleasant to all, be exceptionally kind to those who truly matter. Instead of saying yes to every opportunity, utter a powerful yes only to those endeavors that align perfectly with your core goals. This strategic approach achieves three critical outcomes. Your help becomes more valuable because it is perceived as scarce and deliberate. You achieve greater positive impact because your efforts are focused and concentrated. People respect you more because you are selective and intentional, not merely agreeable. Look at history's most impactful leaders. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't gently passive in the face of injustice, he confronted it with unwavering power. Mother Teresa didn't try to help every destitute person on earth, she focused her intense efforts on the most marginalized. They were all profoundly good people, but they were strategically good. They used their virtue as a catalyst for change, not as a means to universal likability. How do you implement this in your daily life? Before you agree to any request, ask yourself three vital questions. Does this align with my core values and long-term goals? Can I fulfill this commitment without depleting myself to a critical level? Will the recipient genuinely appreciate and respect this effort, or simply expect it? If the answer to any of these is no, you don't just say no. You decline kindly but firmly. Conversely, when you do say yes, you commit fully. You bring your best effort, you create tangible value, you make a meaningful, lasting difference. This ensures your yes resonate, your help is remembered, and your generosity cultivates loyalty, not entitlement. Machiavelli once observed, the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. What he meant is profound. Sometimes, honoring your commitment to one person requires breaking a promise to another. Sometimes, being good to your family means being firm with colleagues. Sometimes, protecting your dreams necessitates disappointing those who seek to consume your time. Strategic virtue isn't about selfishness, it's about effectiveness. Drop this affirmation in the comments, I choose effective kindness. Number 6, the illusion of gratitude, fleeting appreciation. Here's a truth about human nature that might sting: gratitude is often temporary. The favors you extend, the assistance you provide, the sacrifices you make, they possess an expiration date in people's memories. Repeated favors cease to feel like gifts and begin to morph into perceived obligations. What starts as, "thank you so much," evolves into, "you should do this," and eventually degrades into, "why didn't you do this?" You help your neighbor move. They are effusively grateful. You help them move again 6 months later. They're still thankful, but the initial excitement has waned. You assist them a third time. Now, they simply expect it. The fourth time they need to relocate, they don't even bother asking, they just assume you'll be there. And if you can't be there, suddenly, you are the one at fault. This is classic human psychology. We adapt to positive treatment. We begin to take exceptional kindness for granted. We start viewing extraordinary actions as standard procedure. Ultimately, people remember the advantage they gained from you, not the kindness you so freely offered. This pattern repeats relentlessly. In relationships, the person who consistently says yes becomes the one everyone expects to say yes. In friendships, the reliable helper transforms into the default problem solver for every issue. And when that same person finally sets a boundary or utters a no, they are often treated as if they've committed a profound betrayal. The more consistently kind you are, the less your kindness is valued. The more available you make yourself, the less special your availability becomes. The more you give without expecting return, the more people assume your giving comes without personal cost. This is the illusion of gratitude. We believe that performing more good deeds will somehow cultivate deeper appreciation. In reality, it often diminishes it because it raises expectations for more good deeds. Paradoxically, the people who often appreciate you most are those you help least frequently. Conversely, those who take you for granted are typically the ones you assist most often. This doesn't imply people are inherently malicious. It simply means they are human. And humans naturally recalibrate their expectations based on their lived experiences. Understanding this psychological dynamic isn't a license to cease being kind or helpful. It's a mandate to be strategic about it. Set boundaries. Make your assistance conditional at times. Allow people to experience what it feels like when you aren't there to instantly solve their problems. Machiavelli noted, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, and few can feel." Roughly translated, people focus more on what's visible and present than on past actions or deep feelings. Your past kindness fades into the background, your current actions are what define you in their eyes. Number 7, results over intentions. The world judges outcomes. The world, my friends, judges outcomes, not intentions. You might possess the purest heart imaginable. Your motives could be as golden as the sun. But if your actions fail to produce the results you desire, none of that truly matters in the grand scheme. History doesn't celebrate those who meant well, it immortalizes those who got things done. Let me ask you directly. Would you rather be remembered as someone who was unfailingly nice but accomplished little of consequence, or as someone who might have seemed tough at times but fundamentally made the world a better place? Most people instinctively opt for the former, perhaps seeking the perceived safety of agreeability. But here's the critical misunderstanding: being remembered solely as nice often means being forgotten entirely. There's a harsh, yet undeniable, reality. Sometimes, the truest form of goodness requires undertaking actions that do not look good in the immediate moment. Surface-level kindness often provides temporary comfort, while difficult, principled decisions forge lasting impact. A parent who disciplines their child isn't being cruel, they are being good by instilling vital life lessons. A teacher who assigns rigorous exams isn't being unkind, they are preparing students for the demands of the real world. A boss who sets high-performance standards isn't being unreasonable. They are fostering growth and strengthening their team. True goodness is defined by results, not appearances. It's about creating positive, tangible outcomes, not just generating fleeting positive feelings. This is where so many well-intentioned individuals falter. They prioritize being liked over being effective. They choose immediate comfort over necessary growth. They opt for temporary peace over creating sustainable, positive change. But here's the unvarnished truth: if your goodness isn't producing the results you desire, you aren't being good enough, you're merely being nice. And nice is a fundamentally different proposition. Nice people avoid conflict. Good people resolve conflict. Nice people tell others what they want to hear. Good people tell others what they need to hear. Nice people maintain the status quo. Good people drive positive change. The world is replete with nice individuals who achieve very little. What the world desperately needs more of are good people who deliver exceptional results. Machiavelli's famous adage, "the end justifies the means," is often misunderstood. It doesn't grant a license for evil. It simply means your noble intentions are insufficient if they don't culminate in positive outcomes. People don't live within your heart, they live with the consequences of your actions. Therefore, remember this: genuine goodness demands courage. It requires prioritizing outcomes over appearances. It means shifting from asking, "Will they like me?" to asking, "Will this truly make things better?" Ultimately, people won't recall your intentions, they will remember what you built, what you transformed, and what lasting legacy you left behind. Drop this affirmation in the comments: I focus on outcomes. Number 8, legacy and survival, the foundation for impact. Let's talk about what truly endures, how you will be remembered, and what lasting imprint you will leave on the world. History doesn't honor the merely good. It elevates those who survived, persevered, and transformed their experiences into greatness. Consider this for a moment: can you readily name 5 purely nice people from history? Likely not. But you can undoubtedly name 5 individuals who created profound, lasting change, even if their methods weren't always conventionally pleasant. Steve Jobs, for instance, wasn't celebrated for his bedside manner. He was notoriously demanding, a perfectionist, and often difficult. Yet, he created products that fundamentally reshaped how billions of people live. I'm not suggesting you should adopt a persona of constant harshness. What I am suggesting is that being remembered for making a tangible difference is infinitely more valuable than being forgotten for being agreeable. Here's a crucial point that eludes most: you cannot leave a positive mark on the world if you don't survive long enough to make one. And survival, in business, in relationships, in life itself, demands more than just passive goodness. It requires being intelligent, strategic, and, at times, unyieldingly firm. The kindest souls on earth cannot help anyone if they are crushed by those who exploit their benevolence. The most generous givers cannot continue to give if they deplete their reserves too quickly. The most honest truth-tellers cannot speak their minds if they are silenced by those who prefer convenient lies. You must survive first. Then, you can thrive. Then, you can build the legacy you aspire to. This means protecting yourself so you can ultimately protect others. Building your own strength so you can lift others higher. Becoming resilient so you can support the vulnerable. This isn't selfish, it's strategic. It isn't cruel, it's prudent. It's not about abandoning goodness. It's about preserving it so it can actually affect meaningful change. Observe the individuals who create enduring positive change. They are rarely pushovers. They aren't driven by a need for universal approval. They are unafraid to say no, establish boundaries, and make difficult choices. They understand that being genuinely good isn't synonymous with being weak. It's about possessing the strength to choose goodness when it matters most. Machiavelli's profound insight, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both," speaks volumes. What he truly meant is this: respect matters more than affection. Impact matters more than popularity. Results matter more than feelings. You don't have to choose between being good and being strong. You can, and indeed should, be both. But if forced to prioritize, choose strength first. Because strength provides the power necessary to enact goodness when it truly counts. Weakness, however well-intentioned, merely makes you a victim. We've covered a significant amount of ground today. But let me leave you with the most vital lesson of all: goodness without strategy is the most perilous trap you can fall into. It renders you susceptible to exploitation. It drains your resources until you have nothing left to offer. It fosters unsustainable expectations and, ultimately, cripples your ability to create the positive impact you genuinely desire. However, goodness with strategy transforms into a powerful tool for survival and influence. It becomes a mechanism for genuine change. It forms the bedrock of a life and a legacy that truly resonates. You now understand the hidden costs of blind goodness. You see why generosity can ensnare you, why gratitude evaporates, and why noble intentions without tangible results are ultimately hollow. More importantly, you possess the knowledge to shift your goodness from a liability to your greatest asset, to be kind strategically, to help effectively, and to create outcomes that truly matter. Before you leave this video, make a definitive decision. Will you continue down the path of blind, boundaryless goodness, risking its eventual destruction? Or will you embrace the path of strategic goodness, effective, intentional, and powerful? This is the pivotal question that will shape your future. Will you allow goodness to weaken you, or will you master it and harness it as your ultimate power? The choice, now, is unequivocally yours. But you possess the knowledge to choose wisely. If this perspective has opened your eyes, please hit that like button. If you crave more truths that challenge conventional wisdom, subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell. And if you know someone who desperately needs to hear this message, share this video with them. Your goodness is not your weakness. When wielded strategically, it becomes your most formidable strength. Drop this final affirmation in the comments: I master strategic goodness. Remember, in a world teeming with wolves, don't be a sheep. Be a shepherd, one who protects the flock, not through frailty, but through wisdom, strategy, and strength. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the